We're going to roll onto your side and work your oblique abdominals. So we want that ball around your waistline. Both knees are bent. Lay all the way down. Support your head with your bottom arm. Your bottom arm can be bent, it can be straight, really whatever feels better for your neck. And then straightening the top leg out, we're going to work your side glutes a little bit first. So reach that leg long as you lift it up and then lower it back down. Now I'm adding a little bit of ankle work, but you can leave that out if you like. You can point the foot as you lift and flex the foot as you lower. It's great to mobilize and strengthen those ankles, the lower leg muscles, and your feet. Now the next time you lift your leg at about hip height, keep it there and start to draw small circles, reaching back, up, forward, and down, about 5 in each direction. Your goal is to steady through the torso as you move your leg. This gets really challenging when you lay on your side. Low abs are going to help, so remember that pelvic floor activation, closing the front of the ribs. Now kick that leg forward, flex your foot, and then just lower and lift there. Should start to feel the side of the butt here a lot. And just check in that you're trying to lengthen the top side of your waist, so that space from rib to hip is staying really long. Bring that leg right back in line with the rest of your body. Go ahead and lower your foot down to the mat. And it's time to work those obliques. So top arm is going to just cross in front of your chest. Bottom arm needs to lengthen all the way out here. And I'm going to show another option with the arms by crossing both of them in front of your chest. So either way is okay. You notice I adjusted the ball a little bit. You want to be sure that it's not pressing into your ribs or causing any pain. So feel free to move it up or down a little bit until you find the right spot for you. So now we are shortening that distance from your bottom rib to the top of the hip. That's where your external and internal obliques lie, and we're strengthening them here. Or even more challenge, try it with both arms reaching all the way overhead. My movement gets a little bit smaller as that gets more challenging. So that's really normal. Let's try to speed it up, little pulses up an inch and down an inch. Little less challenging, bottom arm wraps around the waist, top arm overhead. So there's lots of options with your arms to increase or decrease the challenge for those abs. We're going to add a little twist here. So turn your shoulders toward the ceiling as much as you can without falling off that ball and reach for that top foot. Again, this is a pretty small movement. Don't expect it to be huge. If it's bothering your neck, try hand behind the head to let your head rest into your hand. Know that that's actually more challenging for your abdominals as well, but it gives your neck some support. For extra challenge in the lower body, lift your leg off the mat. And then enjoy a nice release. Reach your top leg straight, both arms overhead. Feel that length through the entire side body. A few deep breaths. We'll add a little rotation here. So you want to end up with the ball almost right in the center of your chest. Turn your shoulders towards the floor. Hands on the mat with your elbows bent. And think about your arms and your top leg reaching in opposite directions. Should feel a nice release through the low back. We're going to stay in this position and do some work now. So bend your elbows if you straighten them out. Hands outside your shoulders. Start to reach the top of the head away from the tailbone. Open the chest. Use your arms a little bit. Upper back is doing most of the work as you lift your head and chest away from the floor. Check in that you're really drawing your abdominals in to support your low back. Once we've got that feeling of extending the upper back, we're going to hold that position. So come up so that you're resting on your elbows. Keep lifting that chest up and work the lower body. Leg is going to lift up and lower down. The tendency here is to let your abs kind of droop into the ball. Your ribs will start to sink down towards the mat. So you're really actively pulling your abs in, pressing your arms into the mat, lifting your ribs up to the sky. Let's pulse that back leg. Should be feeling your gluteus maximus here, that most powerful, biggest glute muscle. All right, now it's kind of difficult to see what I did. I just straightened out my other leg. So both legs are now straight. They're kind of crossed. And I'm going to go into a swan here, a twisted swan. So listen to your own body. If you feel any back pain, you want to keep it smaller. If you're feeling good, once you lift up to that bottom rib, go a little further, straighten your elbows out, press into the floor. Abdominals draw in even more deeply as you press up as far as your body allows today. Now, the longer I do this, I start to feel a really strong connection in my bottom inner thigh. Now, lower back down, so you're almost in a straight line from your head to your toes, and try to lift both legs off the mat. This one is really challenging for me. That bottom leg is barely lifting and lowering, but it really works the inner thighs. All right, now bending that bottom leg. Let's go back into our swan, lifting all the way up, elbows as straight as possible. It's okay if they're a little bit bent. We're going to dive forward, thinking of lifting your thigh even higher to initiate that dive forward as your elbows bend. Your goal is to keep your chest away from the mat the entire time. So you're maintaining a nice curve from the top of your head to the back of your toe the entire time. It's a lot of endurance for every single muscle on the back side of your body. And then let's square off to the side wall. Take a nice big side stretch over that ball. We're going to work your triceps here. So now the top arm crosses in front. Place your hand on the mat. Bottom arm wraps around your waist. Start to press that bottom hand into the mat and lift up as much as you can, straightening your elbow as much as possible. And it's okay if this is smaller. It's all right if you don't straighten the arm all the way. We're going to do about 10 reps. Keep on breathing. And then take that nice big side stretch again. All right, pressing all the way up, we get a mermaid stretch, top knee bends, reach up and over, grab your leg for support, and now try to twist towards that top leg. A little bit of a swan action here too. So we lift the chest, look up towards the ceiling, and then round through the back. Think of scooping your lower abdominals in. Do that a couple times. And then using your ball, we'll do a side stretch the other way. So that ball adds instability here. You want to kind of roll the ball away until your forearm is on it, and then press into the ball as you return back up. This actually makes me really feel my triceps into that latissimus dorsi muscle down the side of the back. But it should also feel really nice. All right, it's time to work your other side, just like we did earlier. So we want to find that position where the ball is somewhere around the middle of your waist. It should not be painful, so you want to adjust as needed up a little bit or down a little bit until it's not hurting. Bottom knee bent, and we start to lift and lower that top leg. So optional to add the ankle movement. If it's kind of distracting your brain, leave it out for today. Just choose either to flex your foot or point your foot the whole time. And I've got my hand on the side of my hip. That is right where we want to be feeling this. That's your gluteus medius and minimus, side of the pelvis. And then drawing those really small circles. They should be small enough that your torso is not moving at all. Low abs will help you stabilize. So again, thinking pelvic floor activating and that sensation of tightening a belt around your waist every time you breathe out. One release, lower the leg, top arm reaches overhead. And then lift that leg up to hip height. Kick forward about 45 degrees and then lower and lift that leg. This will really focus on your piriformis muscle. It's one of those deep hip rotators and we want it to be strong. Sometimes it feels tight because it's weak, so we want to be sure it stays strong. And then bringing that leg in line with your body again. I'm going to move the ball up a little bit to get into these obliques. So optional to cross both hands in front of your chest. Think of pressing the bottom side of your ribs into the ball as the top side of your ribs curl towards your hip bone. A little bit more challenging to take the top arm overhead. We did that on the first side. Or even both arms overhead is going to add a lot of load for those obliques. Do your best to keep your hip bones stacked right on top of each other. And let's finish with some little pulses. Optional to lift the top leg up for even more challenge. And remember, these are small. It feels so tiny to me when I do these. Now turning your shoulders towards your top leg as much as you can. Reach towards your toes as you curl up an inch and down an inch. And remember, if your neck is really tired at this point, take your hand behind your head for support. That does actually add challenge for your abdominals, but it supports your neck. And we made it. Let's take a stretch. Turn back to the side, relax down to the mat. Stretch your leg and your arms away from each other. All right, let's get ready for that rotated position. So finding the ball kind of right in the center of your sternum. Hands outside your shoulders. Start to lift through the top of the head. Open the chest, draw your abdominals in. And this first set, you're just lifting up to about the bottom of the rib cage. So it's small. Just kind of getting a feel for it, seeing if your back is going to tolerate it today. Bottom knee is bent, top leg is straight. And even here, you're thinking one bone at a time. From the very top of your neck down to about the middle of your back. Now let's work your legs. So kind of coming up so that you're on your elbows, chest lifted. Lift that top leg up and lower it back down. Now if this ever hurts your back, check in with your abdominals. Are they still active? If the answer is yes, you might be lifting your leg a little too high. You can also try lowering your chest down a little bit closer to the floor. To help with that, widen your arms and maybe even angle your elbows slightly sideways. Let's pulse out that leg. Little pulses, focusing right where that little booty crease is. Once you've done about 8, lower your chest down, straighten out that bottom leg so your legs are making a nice V. Definitely lower your chest towards the mat on this one a little bit and try to lift both legs up and both legs down. This time you have a lot better view of that bottom leg. It's really tiny. It just lifts up a few inches. All right, then bending that bottom leg, we're going to go into our full swan. So trying to straighten your elbows all the way if you can. But really listen to your body here. You might gradually get a little bit higher with each repetition as your body kind of warms up. Know that this is a really challenging position. You're in both rotation and spinal extension, which is really one of the most difficult positions. So it doesn't agree with everybody's body. Definitely respect that if your body is kind of not enjoying it for the day. Keep it really small. You might even go into a standard swan with just everything facing the mat. Let's go for that kind of swan dive. So the top leg is going to lift to initiate your rock forward. Allow your elbows to bend while keeping your chest lifted. And then everything returns to where it started. So you're trying to maintain the same shape in your body the entire time, just the arms are changing. That ball is giving you a little bit of support here. It should feel nice. It's also a reference to try to keep your body away from it as much as possible. All right, let's return to the side. Get ready for those tricep push-ups. So bottom arm is wrapped around your waist, top arm is placed on the mat in front of you. And then really press that top hand into the mat to lift up, straightening your elbow as much as you can. You might notice I'm twisting a little bit. That's just because at some point your arm kind of gets in the way of your chest. And so to really straighten your elbow, you might have to twist just a tiny bit. All right, let's take that big side stretch. Bend both knees. Come all the way up. Reach towards your top leg. Grab that top leg and then rotate towards it. Both hands on the mat if possible. And then just kind of releasing through that extension and flexion of the spine by lifting your chest and your eyes, and then scooping those low abs to round again. Squaring off to the side wall, place that opposite hand on the ball, and take a side bend the other way, rolling the ball away from you. Check in that your arm is always in line with your shoulder or slightly in front of it. You want to avoid allowing it to creep behind your body. And remember, as you come back up, you're really pressing into the ball. It will help you out. All right, we made it. Let's take a release here in a child's pose, both hands on top of the ball. Sitting your hips back towards your heels. Press into the ball and think of pulling it towards you as you draw your abdominals off your thighs. Look towards your belly button. You're rounding through that upper back like you want to puff your ribs up to the ceiling. And then just lengthening back out, chest towards your knees. Do that a few times.